Thank you very much, Therese, and thank all of you for being here with us tonight. I know you all have busy schedules. You live in the same world that I do and probably feeling pressures at work, pressures at home, family. You got to drink your 8 glasses of water a day, you're supposed to work out, and all the other things that we're supposed to do as citizens of the country to be well-informed voters and stay on top of your email and return your texts that you get from your kids. And it's a busy life that we live in. It's a busy world that we live in. Thank you. The fact that you make time to be here today is very, very, very meaningful to me and to all of us that work here with our students, such as the ones that have been serving you that Therese referred to, our kids up here today. I thank you. Thank you. I know I'm talking to a room full of true believers. When you know, as an annual fund dinner, when you get invited to an annual fund dinner, you're a guest, I can only imagine what goes to your mind as you're receiving your invitation from our table hosts. Okay, now what goes on here? Well, they're going to ask you to support the mission of the school. Support with what? They want me to applaud? No, we're actually going to look for some financial support and some time and some talent and some treasure. And you still show up, which is a continual amazement to me. And so I know the people that we're talking to, and many of you have been here for years and years, and you continue to show up and continue to say thanks. And I hope that you are proud of the fruit that you see from the work that we've done together. We are just the stewards of the community investment. You know, our parishes invest well over $1 million every year. I'm not going to name every investor. I just want to say thank you. We are deeply touched. We want to be good stewards of that investment that the community has. We want to report to you how we have been a steward of the investment that you have made in us and what our plans are for the future and opportunities that you might have that would be of interest that you think God might be calling you to do with your resources, which He asks us to share in abundance with our community. I want to share with you a piece of art. It was a painting by Eugene Burnand, is the name of the artist. It's Peter and John running to the tomb on the morning of the resurrection. And I love this piece of art. It's one of my favorite paintings ever that I've seen. And of course, John's there on the left with his hands clasped in the white, the younger man, and we all probably recognize what we think St. Peter looked like as an older fellow, graying hair, bearded. And they, of course, heard the news from Mary Magdalene. The tomb's empty. And put yourself in their position. Here you got John, who was, we're told, the disciple that Jesus loved, one of Jesus' best friends. And imagine what he must have felt like as he stayed there till the end. He was at the foot of the cross, we're told, with Jesus' mother. And when most of the folks had left, he stayed there till the bitter end. So, you know, this fellow dearly loved Jesus. And to think what he would have seen, you can only imagine what it's like to watch somebody that you know be crucified and tortured and all the things that happened to Jesus. And now he's heard the news. He's not in the tomb. It's like, take off running. We know the story. We've seen the story, heard the story reenacted. But I just love that expectant look on their faces, the what in the world look on their face. And I think that's the reason why that hangs in the front office of our school. It's one of the first things you see when you walk in, because that is what we want to have here every day at Roncalli. That feeling of, what? What in the world? What has God done now? What's He going to do? Is that real? Is that really real? I'm sure they had to be thinking that. And all those things that are going through Peter and John's mind, that's what we want our kids to experience every day here at Roncalli. That's what I want to experience every day as a disciple. That's what I'm hoping that our faculty and staff are experiencing, our administrative team. What is God doing now? The God of surprises, the God that Peter and John knew, the God who could not be kept in the tomb. That's who we follow. That's why we're here tonight. We want to develop that sense of expectation, that sense of hope. Can you imagine the hope that Peter and John had at this moment when they're running? This can't be true, can it? Although they saw Jesus do a lot of other things. So maybe inside their mind that seed's planted. Maybe it did happen. Maybe it did happen. Our kids grow up in a world where they're just bombarded with messages about things that are exactly the opposite. They're not filled with hope. They're not filled with excitement. They're filled with what the world sells as excitement, but they're not real excitement. They're shortcuts to excitement that fades. They grow up in a world that is, does not accept the Christian message of hope, does not accept the Christian message of God's love for us. And so this is, in a picture, the best I can show you our mission. That's what we're about. That's what we're trying to do. And we want you to join with us in that mission. We have some thoughts for you here. You have a stewardship report that is in your packet, and you don't have to open it up, but you've got, if you take your folder home, it's our annual report. It tells you what people have done for the school. It tells you how we've tried to use that gifts. That's what we want to try to do at this dinner tonight. Not only let you know what our mission is, but to let you know what we've done with all of the investment that we've had over the years. We're trying to do that. You'll see in that report somewhere, we've done an evaluation of how much money we spend on administrative expenses, how much we spend on our fundraising expenses. We're trying to operate as lean an operation as we can, and we do a great job of it, I think. And Therese mentioned our team that we have. It's a great team. The administrative team that Chuck has assembled, a fantastic group of people that make a contribution. They do their very best. And we are trying to use your money as efficiently as we know how. We want you to know that. I think this graph shows that in a picture. So look your stewardship report over that you have, your annual report. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Share it with people that you want to. We have more of them, plenty more of them. If you know 3 or 4 or 5 people that could use one, let us know. Let Therese know. We'll send you one. It's our duty to report to you what we're doing with your money. Archbishop Beekline, I love Archbishop Beekline. Of course, he has served us for 18 plus years. And I think one message that I heard loud and clear during his ministry here to us all is, and of course, I also heard it, I've been in a room more than a couple times where Archbishop was introduced and said, it's gotten awful expensive to be a Catholic since Archbishop Beekline got here. And of course, he did ask for all of us to invest, but a piece of that investment was we have a duty to be accountable for that. And I love that message. I think that's an important part. And we have lots of issues in our church over the past, 30 or 50 years where we haven't always been transparent. But we do need to be transparent. We need to model that transparency as a church. And I think we're trying to do that well here at Roncalli. And I think Archbishop Beekline sung that message loud and clear from the day he walked in here to our archdiocese. So this is an attempt to serve as an accountable witness to that report. Our students are doing some wonderful things. Our teachers are doing wonderful things. Our grade schools do wonderful things with them for 8 years before we ever get them, or 9 years before we ever get them. And some of the fruit of that labor we try to quantify in what we call our annual report card. I'm sure all of you, if you weren't on the mailing list last year, by the fact that you're here now, you will be on the mailing list. And we take data that's made available to us from the State Department of Education. For some reason, right when school choice became a viable option, as charter schools started to open, as other opportunities came to sing the message of school choice, mysteriously, private school data disappears off the Department of Education website. I don't know why. I wasn't in charge of that. They didn't ask me if it should or not. Chuck has lobbied for years. I've lobbied for years. When are we going to get this fixed? It hasn't been fixed yet to the degree that it was. So we started doing our own report. We'll say, okay, we'll send this out. We'll print up 5,000 copies of it and send it out to everybody that we know to send it to. You've maybe seen some of this. I'll point out a couple of things on that. One of the things that the state started measuring a couple of years ago are the number of your graduates that score at least a 3 on an AP exam. You can score 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So a 3 is considered passing on this exam, and the state started measuring college readiness of its students by getting a 3 on an AP exam, which you can then get AP standing for advanced placement for those of you that might not speak our educational jargon, and an advanced placement class theoretically you get college credit for when you get out of high school. So the number of graduates that you can see there is very substantial. And it's very, very, very telling of a number of other percentages that are available. This average scores of our SATs, the percentage of our students that pass the I-STEP exam. I'm not going in by page, blow by blow example of what our scores are compared to our neighbors, but they're good. Let me just tell you, they're good. And if you can't read all the digits and all the numbers, let me just tell you, Roncalli is the blue pillars, okay? That's us, all right? We're doing very well, and our kids come to us well prepared, and we think we do an excellent job with the next 4 years of their education, getting them ready to go on and make that additional contribution to the world. We, of course, a year ago were recognized as one of only 6 schools in the country. There's 20,000 high schools, by the way. There were 6 that were recognized for making their, at the National Catholic Education Convention for the Innovators in Catholic Education Award. We're still the only school in Indiana that's 3-time winner of the Blue Ribbon School of Excellence. We're one of 5 schools in the country that have been recognized by the U.S. Department of Education for our service learning program. Again, there's 20,000 high schools in the country. 5 of them have been recognized for the contributions they're making in their community. That's the U.S. Department of Education. That's not the U.S. Catholic Bishops. That's not the NCEA. That's the United States Department of Education. We're one of 5 out of 20,000. So my message is there's a high level of quality that's here. We get to witness it every day. We're trying to be good stewards of that investment. National Merit Scholars, we had 11 semifinalists and committed students this year. Chuck, so you want to get Chuck fired up? Go back there and ask him, how does that compare to the other schools in the state? How does that compare to the other schools in Indiana? How does that compare to the other Catholic schools? It compares very, very, very well. It'll be worth it if you ask Chuck that, because he's got a 30-second speech, he's got a 5-second speech, and he's got about a 60-minute speech about how that compares. So I'm not going to go into it tonight. It compares very favorably. This is, for those of you that have been here a number of times as well, this is our annual Celebrate the Girls Golf Championship dinner as well. For 5 years in a row, Brian Hendricks has served as a table host, and he's also served as our head girls golf coach. And we always bring this up this time of year. I finally told Corey Marks, our graphic designer, webmaster here at Roncalli, you know what? Brian has deserved his own slide this year. Winning one Marion County championship, it is not easy in any sport. To win 6 in a row is absolutely phenomenal. Abby Gleixner, Roncalli Senior, she's 2 years in a row now, been the champion of Marion County. And so, Brian, your own slide. Congratulations to the girls. Abby Gleixner. Fantastic. Brian, if you come back next year, we'll still keep this slide whether the girls win or not. So we don't want to put any pressure on you, but that is something that seems to deserve its own slide. You got it. I show you all these things about, and this is not a story about how great a school we are. It's a thank you, just to let you know what a great, great product you are supporting, what a great ministry you're investing in, and it's a ministry that we all join in together. It's not Joe Hall, it's not Chuck Weisenbach, Therese Carson, Abby Gleixner, Brian Hendricks, anybody. It is a partnership that we have with our parishes, 14 wonderful parishes, pastors that are committed to having this, school administrators at the grade school level, teachers at the grade school level. It's something we all join together with. Parents that are carrying the load at home, the types of families that you're raising, the types of values you're giving your kids, irreplaceable. We have advantages, and we're well aware of those advantages, and we're trying to take every gift that we're given and stretch it to the max. That's the Roncalli way. That's what you all deserve. That's what we all deserve for our kids and for our families. There's a very special group occasionally at our annual fund dinner, I'll have a table, and usually at our table, a lot of people that have given, pretty substantial gifts to our school will be, special guests at the table that I sit at, and it's not me, it's whoever the president of Roncalli is. I feel like we owe a special thanks to those folks. This year, I sent out invitations. I could have sent it to any of, 30 or 40 teachers that have been making a fantastic contribution year after year after year. I picked these 5. I told them why I picked them, but that are at my table. But I know we have a lot of folks that are here that are on our faculty, on our staff, on our administrative team, and I want them and their spouses. I'm not talking just about the people that are at my table, but if you are an employee of Roncalli, if you're on our staff, or if your spouse is on our staff, I want you to stand for a minute. I got something I got to say to you. So all spouses, all teachers, all staff members, we'll clap here in just a second. We'll clap, but if you're here, be standing so people know who you are. So we've got it all over, yes. Let me just go through this math here, and I kind of explained this a little bit to our teachers, and I don't like to dwell on it, because if they do the math for too long, they start thinking, you know what, he's right. I'm making too big of a sacrifice here. If I'm a first-year teacher, no experience at all, you come and work at Roncalli, you're probably going to make $10,000 less year one. Okay, probably 75% of what you could have made had you gone to one of the local public schools. If you stayed for 20 years, 25 years, where you would have been at the top end of the scale, now your salary is anywhere, $25,000, $30,000, maybe $40,000 less at the top end compared to what we're paying for you here. Over 20, you take $10,000 first year, $30,000 the last year, average it out over 20 years, we'll assume, make an assumption, for 20 years you've made $20,000 less. You take that 20 years times 20,000, that's $400,000. The people that you see standing right now are major donors to Roncalli High School. They are all in, their families are all in, and we owe them a great debt of gratitude because they are working miracles with your sons and daughters. So to you, our staff, we say thank you. We want you to be all in with them and join them in the same way that they have dedicated themselves. Last year, Stewardship Report, we came in front of you and we said, for all of these projects, our technology, tuition assistance, financial aid endowment, facility endowment, we need $440,000. You responded in fantastic fashion. We got $495,000 of unrestricted gifts, and then we had another $200,000 almost of restricted gifts where somebody wrote us a check, you know what, I want this to go to the baseball team, or I want this to go to the cheerleading, or I want this to support the retreat program, or I want this to support the work you're doing at Appalachia, or I want this to support the robotics club. That's a restricted gift. We don't really solicit those. We look for those unrestricted gifts, and we hope that you trust our board and our administrative team to use them wisely. But we don't say no to restricted gifts, and you never say no to $200,000 worth of ways that people want to support us. So as you can see, very generous response last year, and we thank you for that. Here's what we did with that money. We did do some, we call it teacher training. We actually support, when Chuck, several years ago now, followed in the footsteps of Cardinal Angelo Roncalli, and did a pilgrimage and came back and said, I think the more people that can find out about Cardinal Roncalli, Pope John Roncalli, the better. The more his charism is instilled in our school, the more his gifts become known by our students. The world needs that. And so we developed this teacher pilgrimage, and some other Catholic schools have done this as well, to kind of link their schools with their founders, so kids have a link to the past and grow up with some sense of tradition. And we felt that's very important. So last year, we had our second group of 5 or 10 actually participate in this pilgrimage, and we're raising money every year. It turns out that Loris Capdevila, who was Pope John the 23rd's secretary, is still alive. And he loves Roncalli High School. He loves Chuck Weisenbach, loves the fact that we bring over people that want to see him. We give him, he's got a Roncalli t-shirt. He's 95 years old now, still sharp as a whip. We've got interviews of him on tape. The more we can get our people over there to find this love that Monsignor Capdevila has for him and this passion that he has for the life and ministry of Pope John the 23rd, the better. And now that he's going to be a saint, we want to make sure that we have faculty, staff, and others there for Pope John the 23rd's canonization, which we'll find out here on September 30th when exactly that's going to be. We're asking you to support that ongoing, keeping alive the charisms and gifts of John the 23rd. And we did that last year. There's some pictures of our group that went on our pilgrimage last year, and your support was deeply appreciated. And I promise you, these people are bringing this back. This is not a vacation. This is a pilgrimage. And this is a pilgrimage that the expectation is they'll bring those gifts back. Technology, let me just say, last year with your gifts, that $495,000, we bought, one of the things, we bought 300 computers between laptops, departmental offices, mobile labs, iPads for our teachers, 300 computers. We have an entire wireless school right now. For those of you that might be watching Thursday Night Football on your iPhone right now, thanks to the last year's annual fund, you can do that. So God bless your heart for that. We are making great leaps in terms of our technology. Joe Capel and I were having just a brief conversation about technology. You know, Chuck sent us something. We've had a long conversation. How much of this is a fad? And how much of this really makes a difference? And I've told people at our back to school night with our parents, the day we find out that everybody having iPads will make a difference in the quality of education our kids receive, we'll have 1,500 iPads here next week. We'll get them here if they're making a difference. But the reality is, we don't think they're making a difference. We can't tell. I just talked to our graduates who are at Notre Dame back on Tuesday night, took them out to dinner. I said, hey, are you missing anything in technology at Roncalli? What can we get better at? Mr. Hollow, we're not missing it. They don't let us use anything here at Notre Dame. It's a distraction. That's one of the best universities in the world. Instead, a couple of our professors let us bring a laptop in if we want to. By and large, it's seen as a distraction at Notre Dame. Therese mentioned this program I'm in at Creighton. You can bring your own there, and that works out well. People are a little bit more mature, but the bottom line is, when it makes a difference educationally, and we've known that, we've taken the leap time after time after time again. And you know what? If our blue pillar wasn't about 3 times as high as most of our public school around us that are spending probably 15 times more on technology, I'd be concerned. But that pillar is awfully high. And we're hearing graduates that move on to IU, graduates that move on to Purdue, graduates that move on to Ball State. We go and ask them, Chuck, we have conversations. Were you well prepared? Are we missing anything in technology? We hear over and over and over again, you're hitting it right where it needs to be. We're going to stay with that until we hear differently. Our eyes are on it. I thank you for supporting that last year. I promise we will be good stewards. And what Joe Capel said to me is, we talked about a lot of this public school dollars that are out there spent on technology. He said, you know what, I think for most of them, they're looking for a quick fix. And I said, I think you hit that right on the nose, because I want a quick fix. I wish there was a pill I could take where I'd lose 50 pounds. Because I'd take that pill, I'd go buy it. I'd go spend a lot of money if that pill was out there. But the reality is that 50 pounds comes off with discipline, commitment, good habits. It's not a quick fix. And learning is not a quick fix. You don't just go out and spend $1 million and all of a sudden, we got it fixed. Education, bingo. You all know, you know well enough. You all pay taxes for schools, and there isn't the quick fix. The things that make a difference in education are free. They're good discipline. They're high expectations. They are good homes, good families, good parents, a commitment to doing your best, dreaming a dream, and coming to a school where every day you have that sense of excitement and expectation of what's going to happen in my life next. Where am I going to go? How am I going to be challenged? That bottom line. Facility endowment. That was my wife that started clapping there, so you don't have to follow her. We did facility endowment last year. I just want to let you know how those kind of, if you'd have come to this dinner 10 years ago, we probably would have been raising money for a track. Okay, if you'd have come 12 years ago, I think it was, we raised money for tennis courts. This facility endowment, just kind of indicative of the type of thing. Now those facilities are getting older, we want to be able to take care of them. And so we resurfaced our track and did some repairs. We didn't have to spend, $500,000 again, but it was helpful to have, the $20,000 or $30,000 that it cost to fix our track. It was helpful. We had to resurface our tennis courts. We raised about $250,000 to build our tennis courts. We're going to continue to keep those things up, and we want to plan so the next time things are broken, we don't have to all of a sudden have a fundraiser because, the roof that we had for 30 years all of a sudden developed leaks. You need to plan ahead. We can plan ahead, and we're doing that. Facility endowment helps us do that. This year, we're looking for $475,000. I'm not going into great detail, but we're looking for financial aid help again. You'll hear a little bit more about that. Our STARS program. I wish you could have been there today. I was at the Indiana Non-Public Education Association convention. Those of you that have supported this down through the years, our program, the reason why it's on the list now, it's gotten so big, so popular. We actually have our Life Academy where we're taking on students that do not necessarily have the expectation of receiving a diploma, but they want to be in this environment. They want that hope, that challenge, that thrill of expectation. And it's growing. What we're doing right now, what we started doing 20 years ago, is now people are trying to replicate that. Our whole convention today was about special needs in private schools. And the Roncalli community is leading the way, has led the way. What you have invested in has led the way. As Chuck was kind of walking all these administrative leaders from private schools around the country through what's happened here at Roncalli over the past 20 years. And it really was I saw it when it was a line on a piece of paper. We're going to have a special needs program at a strategic planning thing back in 1993. So it's been a long time coming, but just to watch and look and kind of relive some of that, it's been a long journey that we're now able to share with many other schools around the state and around the country. We've had people come in from all over to find out, how does a Catholic school, who should be taking care of every child and every family, if we're truly pro-life, that's exactly what we should be doing, regardless of what their intellectual abilities and capacities are. We are a comprehensive school. We're not college prep. We have about 95% of our kids go to college, but we're for every child. That's what our deanery schools are all about. That's what our diocesan schools are all about. We don't have selective admission. We don't have selective enrollment. We don't have we have a placement test. We don't have an entrance exam. You get it. You want here, you'll be here. You in our Catholic schools, you're in. We're open. Our doors are open. And we need to be taking everybody. We need money to help expand that because the thing's gotten so popular that these kids that don't necessarily have the intellectual firepower to get a high school diploma, they still want to be here. We need to make room for those kids. We're asking you to invest in that with us. Invest in technology. Facility endowment for a new sound system, both out on our stadium out there and in this gym here. You can see them all up there. They're in your brochure that is in here in front of you too. Financial aid, you'll hear a little bit more about that in just a second. Technology, we need to invest. We need to invest wisely. Our STARS program, I just told you, our doors are busting at the seams. People that want in, we're trying to lead the way on a statewide level anyway, and Chuck, I wish you could have seen him. He also has a great 20-minute speech on STARS. Okay, if you ask for his 30-second speech on our National Merit Scholars, you might have time for his 20-minute speech on STARS because it was fantastic, what we're doing, what we have done. And our endowment, of course, will take care of our sound systems this year. We're asking you to support that. Our teacher pilgrimage, going over to see what the canonization of Pope John XXIII and walk in his footsteps and bring his charisms back and infuse his gifts. It's important. and we thank you for considering that support. And at this time, I know we're going to have, is there going to be an introduction, Ann? Okay, so I'll be back, but I know you got a couple people you need to hear from first, and I'll come back and we'll show you how you can support this. Thank you very much for being here. God bless you.